When the United States took decisive action against Venezuela's leadership and effectively seized operational control of its oil sector, it did more than alter Venezuelan politics. It sent a strategic message to Beijing. In this video, we analyze how U.S. pressure in Venezuela affects China's energy access, regional influence, broader strategy in the Western Hemisphere, and even implications for China's long-term priorities elsewhere in the world. What's at stake for China? China has maintained extensive energy and economic ties with Venezuela for decades. Caracas has historically sent a large share, historically up to 80%, of its oil exports to Chinese refiners, helping Beijing secure heavy crude at a discounted price. While this oil only represents a small portion of China's total crude imports, it has provided a reliable buffer against global volatility, particularly in times of pressure on other suppliers. The U.S. disruption of Venezuelan oil flows therefore has direct implications for China's energy diversification strategy. Beijing has responded by deepening ties with other producers, from Russian crude to Middle Eastern and African sources. But these alternatives often carry higher costs, logistical complexity, or political risk. Competing objectives in Latin America. Beyond energy, China's influence in Latin America has been expanding through trade, infrastructure projects, and resource deals. U.S. policymakers have made it clear that limiting the presence of external powers, particularly China, in the Western Hemisphere is now a strategic objective of the current administration. By asserting control over Venezuelan assets, Washington has signaled to Beijing that it can effectively limit Chinese influence, making future investments in the region, whether in mining, infrastructure, or strategic minerals, geopolitically riskier. Analysts note that Venezuela's mining regions and rare earth deposits could be as strategically significant as its oil, raising the stakes of competition. Military and strategic signals. The military aspect of this is also worth paying attention to. By executing a high-profile operation inside of Venezuela, Washington displayed a willingness to project power in ways that challenged China's expectation of freedom from foreign intervention in its interests. Beijing formally condemned the actions, characterizing them as a violation of sovereignty. But the strategic calculus goes deeper. The perception that the U.S. can act decisively against a state perceived to be within China's sphere of influence may reinforce China's urgency to solidify its own regional assertions, including its posture toward Taiwan. China might also be reconsidering how they militarily stack up against the United States, given that Chinese officials were in Venezuela at the time of the attack and meeting with Maduro a couple of hours before U.S. forces took him out of the country. China's strategic calculus. Looking ahead, China will likely respond on multiple fronts, diversifying its energy sources and using international institutions to contest U.S. narratives. It might also accelerate projects that reduce China's vulnerability to American control of its resources, from deeper engagement with Russia to investments in Africa and the Middle East. The U.S., for its part, will need to balance asserting influence in its hemisphere without provoking broader confrontations with China over global supply chains in geopolitical spheres. The strategic implications of U.S. pressure on Venezuela extend beyond a single oil deal or political operation. For China, the challenge is not just maintaining access to energy or influence, but adapting strategy in a world where power is contested everywhere. Thank you for watching Power and Context. Please like, subscribe, and share this video if you enjoyed it. See you next time.